41 days out from the 2024 NFL draft. As we draw closer and closer, the tea leaves are starting to show that Washington and Chicago are very likely to hammer out a deal for the number one overall pick. Hear me out. I know Chicago traded away the number one overall pick last year and passed up on guys like Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. And Caleb Williams, to me and a lot of folks like-minded, feel like Caleb is a can't-miss prospect. But Chicago may be in a situation where they kind of have to trade the number one pick. And hear me out. They've been cooking this offseason. Ryan Poles has been doing his best shit this offseason, man. Like, they've picked up quite a few players this offseason. I know Washington is getting busy, and I think the corresponding moves both franchise are making are setting the stage to get a trade done and a swap between picks 1 and 2 in the NFL draft. So far this offseason, Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears have signed DeAndre Swift, running back, tight end Gerald Everett, Simone Biles' husband, Jonathan Owens, offensive lineman Matt Pryor, backup quarterback Brett Rippon, and last night they traded for veteran superstar wide receiver Keenan Allen because the Chargers are in absolute cap hell right now. The Bears were able to swoop in and take advantage of said cap hell that's happening in Los Angeles right now. But the Bears traded a fourth-round pick to do so, which is not bad at all considering you're getting a co-number one. They now have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen on the same football team. Also, they traded the number one pick last year, and so far everything they've got in return for that trade was offensive tackle Darnell Wright, Keenan Allen, cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, DJ Moore, the first pick this year, a second-round pick in 2025. That's probably going to be the 33rd overall pick because the Panthers are going to be ass and a half one more time. They're going to run it back and double up on them. And a trade of the 9th pick in 2023. So they've done all of that. And they've already went to the trade well. They've already played let's make a deal with Washington one time. Going into this draft, they were going into the 2024 draft with 6 picks. They traded their second to acquire Washington edge rusher Montez Sweat, who since then signed a long-term extension and got the absolute bag to become the linchpin of the Chicago Bears defense. Down to 5 picks. They just traded a 4th rounder for Keenan Allen last night. Down to 4 picks. So you mean to tell me in a year where Ryan Poles is general managering for his career, in a year where Matt Eberflus and company are coaching for their career, they are going to be fine with 4 picks in the entire 2024 NFL draft. Pick number 1, pick number 9, pick number 75, and pick number 122. So 2 first-rounders, a 3rd, and a 4th in a year where they need to make shit shake. They're cool with just taking 4 picks in the NFL draft and rolling into this year with a rookie. I know rookies extend lifelines. Rookies extend your career at the moment when showing promise. They're betting their entire, because if they fuck this up, they're not getting another job doing the same thing that they're doing right now. But you mean to tell me they're just going to select 4 times in the 2024 NFL draft? They don't want any more draft capital. Also, here's the kicker. Here's why I really think the trade is going to happen between Washington and Chicago. Justin Fields either one has no trade market, like nobody wants to trade for this guy, or Chicago is not genuinely shopping him. It's one of 2 things. It has to be one of 2 things. And while I understand Justin Fields is not the most polished NFL passer, especially in the pocket, processor, reader of defenses, I just cannot believe that Mac Jones can get traded. Sam Howell, which I'm going to get to in just a second, can get traded. Desmond Ritter's Jiffy Lube manager head ass can get traded. And not one soul or ego in this league is interested in getting their hands on Justin Fields and the talent that he oozes up. It's not making sense to me. The math is not mathing. So he either has no market when he was expected to have a robust one, or Chicago is holding him close to the vest like, we don't know what we're doing yet, so we're not really shopping you, but we're trying to appear as if we're shopping you. So based on what Chicago's done, they've shot their load as far as draft picks. They've signed a bunch of offensive weapons, veteran offensive weapons. Seems like they're loading up for their guy, their fan favorite, fan loved guy, Justin Fields. That's what it sounds like to me. Now let's move over to the Washington side of things. Washington sits with the second pick in the NFL draft. Washington already set with hella draft capital going into 2024. We traded Sam Howell yesterday, the only quarterback that would actually make a debate on the roster of a competition between the rookie we will draft in the first round this year, because we know Marcus Mariota will not be starting. We signed Marcus Mariota this week, and then we traded away Sam Howell. That trade included 2 pick swaps that now give Washington 3 third rounders to go with their 2 second rounders and three third rounders to go with their 2 second rounders and 2 fifth rounders. No 4th round pick. This is what Washington's draft capital looks like. Pick number 2 overall, number 36, number 40, number 67, number 78, number 100, number 139, number 152, and number 222. 9 picks in the 2024 NFL draft. Enough picks that Washington could feasibly make a trade up to number 1 for Caleb Williams and still have hella picks to go. Hella picks to still build out the O-line and the rest of the holes that remain on the roster. But there aren't too many holes on the roster because Washington has made itself dispensable. It's made itself able to go into the draft aggressively. We've signed 15 players. Washington has signed 15 goddamn players since free agency has gotten underway. 3 internal guys and like 14, 15 guys externally. We've checked so many boxes and so many needs off the grocery list. We can let the world be our oyster when it comes to the 2024 NFL draft. If we want to trade up, trade down, maneuver at a second pick in the first round, or move up to the first pick, the world is at our knees right now. We can do whatever we want because we signed so many players. So many players. So Washington has made the corresponding moves to set itself up for a potential trade up to the number 1 pick. Chicago has put the moves to set the offense up for whoever they decide to go with at quarterback, but they ended up going into this draft with only 4 picks. And I know you're saying they could trade number 9, but doesn't it feel like Caleb really doesn't want to play for the Chicago Bears? And I know that doesn't matter because they can just draft him anyways, but watch his combine interview media scrum. He talks about the Bears like when your parents ask you about your day at school. Yeah, it was great. It went well. Yeah. They asked him about Washington. His face lights up, an ear-to-ear smile. Yeah, everybody was in the room. Home is very familiar to me. The team's very familiar. And, just getting to know everybody that's new because everything they got going on there is new. There was just an extra bit of chutzpah, extra bit of expression and exclamation when asked about Washington. Let's keep it a buck. Caleb's aura is not blue-collar Chicago. Caleb's aura is DMV. He is a superstar. That star shines too bright to play for the fucking Windy City Chicago Bears. And I think the Bears know that too. Their entire fan base is busting it wide open for Justin Fields right now. Everybody wants them to keep Justin Fields. And Ryan Poles told us at the combine, I'm going to do right by Justin. And we're going to do our best to get him moved if that's the case, if that's what we decide by the start of free agency. Well, today is Friday, March the 15th. So we are now 5 days into free agency, and hella quarterbacks have been signed and hella quarterbacks have been traded. And Justin Fields' name ain't been nowhere in those conversations. The most interesting destinations for Fields, where we expected them to covet him the most, signed Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, and Gardner Minshew to lucrative contracts, all but Russ. But they've all handled the quarterback situation. The Vikings signed Sam Darnold, lucrative contract for Sam Darnold. The spots have closed up for Justin Fields. Are the Chicago Bears going to be stuck with Justin Fields, or are they going to try to flip it and say, Justin Fields was our plan all along, but we had to go through the process? There are a lot of ways to control the narrative and control the optics here, but Caleb moving his pre-draft workout or pre-draft visit with Chicago to 3 weeks after they originally planned it, because they were ready to speak to him the day after the combine ended. He said, I'll come after my pro day. Caleb's pro day is coming up on March 20th. What if he goes into that meeting and says, I'm not interested in playing for your franchise, but we don't have to make it look like that, man. We can all win the narrative here, and you can just trade the pick to Washington and keep Justin Fields and tell the whole world y'all were backing Fields the whole time, but you had to play out the process. All signs are pointing to this trade inevitably happening. No one has a feel for what Washington's doing yet, and I imagine Washington's going to want to get to know Caleb more, but we have Cliff Kingsbury in the building who knows everything there is to know about Caleb Williams. We have an ownership group here that is aggressive to win this offseason and win off seasons alike going forward, because they want to turn it around. And it's not just making a splash just to make a splash. What better way to go into 2024 regular season than adding the most coveted general manager on the market for the last couple years, and then getting a can't miss best player in the entire draft class, quarterback, with the first overall pick? It's just starting to add up. I don't care about the hometown kid thing, but I'm sure to an owner, there's some luster to it, but it rings of Dan Snyder when you talk about that aspect of it. So fuck that aspect of it. Caleb's the best player in the 2024 NFL draft. So I know we're interested. Even if this trade doesn't come to fruition, I guarantee you hear that Washington makes an offer for this pick. Someone will let that information out, whether that be us or Chicago or another team in the running as well. You will hear in the next 5.5 weeks that Washington aggressively tried to trade into the top spot to draft Caleb Williams. So the ball's in Chicago's court. But with 4 picks in the 2024 NFL draft, I imagine they see everything Washington has and says, we may can get some things. We may can get some things for this year and some things for next year. Like I said, number 2 overall pick, 2 picks in the second round, 36 and 40. 3 picks in the third round, 67, 78, and 100. No fourth rounders. 2 fifth rounders, 139 and 152, and a 7-rounder at 222. Let's make a deal, Chicago. Let's call a spade a spade. Y'all not ready for Caleb Williams? Keep your guy. Let Justin Fields cook. And Ryan Poles, Eberflus and company, y'all can go out with your swan song, believing in your guy, your folkloric hero, Justin Fields, that the fans love. Do not rob them of their adoration. They chanted week 18 for y'all to keep Justin Fields. We want Justin. We want Justin. 75% of your fan base wants no part of Caleb Williams. Send that boy home where he belongs as the prodigal son of the DMV to quarterback the Washington Commanders, because it almost feels like fate in his destiny. He was the prince that was promised for this franchise. We had to go through these 20-something years of Dan Snyder just to get to this point. We need our guy. And the cards are just aligning and the narratives are starting to collide. I see no reason why Washington and Chicago cannot get a deal done for the first pick. Keep your guy. Justin Fields is yours. Give us our guy. Washington is going to make an offer for the first pick. Whether we get it, who the fuck knows? But I guarantee you Washington's making an offer. They're definitely making an offer. We traded both edge rushers mid-season, added those picks, added the extra second and the extra third. We now have an extra third. Them boys definitely making a play. Adam Peters is cooking, and we get right to it now. We're not bullshitting. So I imagine we're going to hear in the next couple weeks that Washington at least made the attempt to move up for the number one overall pick. Something I've never seen my team do in my lifetime is pick number one. And I know what I feel about Caleb. A lot of people have pre-assuming dispositions and disdain for Caleb when they know dick about the player. They cannot tell you anything about him as a football player. But Twitter told them he's a crybaby who paints his nails and is eccentric and is arrogant. Caleb is a good ass kid that loves football and wants to be great, and his father and the people around him want to be great as well. Can they be a little close to the situation? Sure. But who's to say if your kid was not in the same position, you would not be actively and proactively 10 toes down on the entire structure of it as well? But Caleb is a bona fide superstar. From that first time he took the field for Oklahoma his freshman year, down 28-7 in a rivalry game versus Texas, 4th and 1, when he scrambled for a 66-yard touchdown and brought Oklahoma back from 21 down in the first quarter to win that game more touchdown. He's been a superstar ever since. He's balled out every year of his 3-year college career. Over 120 touchdowns to 14 interceptions in 3 years. That is a god-like touchdown to interception ratio. A mastermind, masterful maestro of a maneuver in the pocket. The boy is a baller. I don't know what to tell you, but I want that for us. And I think Adam Peters and company are at least going to shoot their shot. And we may be headed for a Washington Chicago blockbuster trade at the top of the 2024 NFL draft. So buckle up, and when it happens, say where you heard it first. We will at least make the offer. My boy Jalen has been the most consistent. He's been saying this shit for months and months now. I've been a non-believer, but the tea leaves just keep showing me that this shit is very realistic. It's felt so unrealistic for so long. It feels like a real thing. Let's see if it gets done. Washington's going to shoot their shot for Chicago's number one pick. Chicago can use some more picks in the 2024 NFL draft because 4 is not enough in a season where Eberflus and Poles are coaching for their jobs in this league. That's all I got for right now. Keep Justin Fields. Let us have Caleb. Let him go home where he belongs. Held to the Washington Commanders. Bear down. Keep your guy. Shout out to all of y'all in the orange and blue. Y'all don't need Caleb in your lives, bro. He not built for Chicago. Trust me. Deuces.